Hello everyone, this is Donna from Even the Scales, and I'm on my channel right now to speak about the abuse that I'm being put through in my home and when I leave my home here in Campbelltown, New South Wales. For those of you who haven't seen any of my videos before, my life is being held hostage by an organised crime ring, and that's why I have to make this video to protect myself, because there are members of the police and justice system that are involved in this crime ring. And I mentioned in a video that I put up recently that it is some of the cruelest and most depraved people that are still involved. There were a lot more people involved in putting me through abuse, but it's dwindled down now in numbers, and those people that are still putting me through abuse are some of the most cruelest people in the community. And included in those people are some different groups that have been involved for quite a while. These groups are all working together. They include my landlord, St George Community Housing. They are the ones enabling this abuse because they are the ones that have placed cameras in my home. There are members of Transport New South Wales involved. I'm not saying all of them are, but there are people that work for Transport New South Wales who have been putting me through regular abuse. The neighbours that surround me, most of them are involved, especially the three that are joined to my unit. But there are other neighbours involved that live close. Then there's the Campbelltown police. They're involved. There are groups of abusive men still involved that stalk my home in loud vehicles and in quieter vehicles. This morning they stalked, but they stalked in quieter vehicles, so it wasn't so obvious. And my family members are involved in this abuse. So this is all happening to me because it's all a part of a justice system and health system cover-up. That is the reason this is happening. I wrote a letter to the New South Wales Police in November of 2023, and that letter was to talk about how I've been treated by police officers as I've been going through domestic violence for the past 10 years. I actually made 12 calls to the justice system, different departments of the justice system, over that 10-year period, and on each and every occasion my reports were either not followed up or they were just treated. They weren't taken serious enough, especially when I was living with domestic violence. And it's the information that's in those letters that I wrote that the justice system don't want being made public, because I also reported a pedophile in 2020 to the Campbelltown police, and they did nothing about that person, and that was all so that they could put me through more psychological abuse. There's also a police officer there's several police officers connected to my family who have been obstructing justice, and one of them has committed heinous crimes against women. So these are the things that they don't want being made public, and that's why they're putting me through this abuse. So it's been almost 3 years now. I have been put through MKUltra mind control abuse. And for anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's when a large group of people all get together and conspire to try and abuse somebody to death psychologically, so that either they die or they take their own life, or their life just breaks down in some way to the point where they just can't go on anymore. So that's what they're trying to do to me. That's what they've been trying to do to me for the past 3 years. and they have been trying to abuse me to death. I've had a lot of restrictions placed over my life, and those restrictions are still on my life right now, and that's why I'm making this video. So I'm going to talk about those restrictions. And it's also that this crime ring that includes corrupt members of the justice system and health system can have me under their control. My family also stole an inheritance from me. So that's why my family are involved. They stole an inheritance. They stole my entire legacy, actually, and they just pretended that I didn't exist, and they purposely isolated me. So they conspired with corrupt members of the justice system to put me through this. So I'll just go through some of those restrictions. My life is literally being held hostage. The abuse I'm being subjected to can only be described as horrific, brutal harassment. This landlord has installed cameras in every corner of my home. They're in my bathroom and my bedroom. I moved here in October 2020, and it was all a part of a setup that my family knew about, the landlord knew, the Campbelltown police knew, like everybody was in on it. It was all a setup from the start to have me abused, to keep me in a state where I'm always trying to fight for my freedom. But I had no idea. It was only after I wrote that letter in 2023 where they got more members of the community involved in the abuse, and that's when I started to realise what was going on. So this landlord has placed cameras in my home, and they actually take money from people who view into my home to watch me be put through abuse. Some of them watch me be put through abuse. Some of them watch into my home or view into my home so that they can come up with ideas to put me through abuse, to take part in the abuse when I leave my home. So when I use my bathroom, I have to hold a curtain up every time I use my bathroom. When I have a shower, I have to shower in the dark. And even though I'm doing those things, they can still see me. But it just makes me feel better to shower in the dark or to hold a curtain up, but they can still see me. So my human rights are being abused to the absolute extreme by this landlord. This landlord has let people into my home in the past, so I'm restricted in that way as well as to where I can go. I've installed cameras in my home, but I still have to worry. So I only know that because I noticed things in my home were out of place, and whoever was in here had a key. I don't even sleep in my bedroom anymore because of that reason. So they've gone to absolute extremes, and they've gone to extremes so that when I talk about these things or speak up about them, I'll look crazy. That's why they've gone to such extremes. There's also a camera in my car and a tracker on my car, so I'm watched everywhere I go by this organised crime ring. I'm watched where I travel to, and then I'm stalked at every destination that I go to, which is mainly just the shops or to appointments. My phone has also been hacked. Anybody can view my phone. Anybody can view my personal information. I have no protection at all on my phone. So people can view into my home. They can zoom in on everything I write, everything I was writing in these notes to do this video. I noticed today everything that I mentioned that's a part of the abuse, they carried out that abuse again today just to let me know that they had read this letter. And they also carry out abuse when I leave the house based on things that I view on my phone to let me know that they're watching my phone. They let me know they're watching me in my house by carrying out abuse based on the things I do in my home, TV shows I watch, the people that I watch on YouTube. They carry out abuse based on anything that I do just to let me know that they're watching me. And again, they want me to sound crazy for saying these things. This is why they've gone to extremes. The abuse that they're carrying out can be very subtle. It'll only be me that knows what they're doing. So that's another reason a lot of people are very smug about what they're doing, because what I'm saying they're doing can look very circumstantial, but I know why they're doing what they're doing. So I'm also stalked when I leave my home by people who just try to get near me to carry out some kind of cruel mind abuse. So people that view into my home, some of them stalk me when I leave my home. They'll actually go out of their way to follow me and go to where I'm going to carry out abuse. So that's what they were doing today. They were repeating things that I have wrote in these notes just to let me know that they've zoomed in on these notes in my home. So this is the most unbelievable part, and this is another thing that makes me sound crazy, but it's absolutely true. I have had an implant placed in my body by corrupt members of the health system. It must have been done when I've gone into hospital and had a procedure done at some point. And that tracker, that tracks me everywhere I go, and it also tracks my vital signs. So the people that are putting me through abuse, they're all going to one place, one platform, to view into my home, to stalk me in my car, and to track and monitor my vital signs. If one group sees that my vital signs, if my heart rate's up, another group will start carrying out abuse to double up on the stress, to double up on the abuse. There's people like the neighbours that are involved around here that work with the abusive men that stalk my home somehow. So they're all communicating on some platform together somewhere to be able to do this. It's the only way they would be able to do it. And as far as these neighbours go that are adjoined to my unit, there is no amount of money or anything on this earth that could make up or compensate for the abuse that those people have put me through. They have put me through some of the most horrific abuse. The one that lives diagonally to me, who I've been speaking up about on my channel a lot, about, harasses me constantly. They all do. The three that are joined to my home constantly harass me. And the abuse they put me through is brutal, because they're tampering with my air. They're not just psychologically abusing me, they're also physically abusing me because I'm being forced to breathe whatever they put through their rigged range hoods. Their range hoods have been rigged over their stoves so that they can tamper with the air in my home. Again, this is why I can't call police, because the Campbelltown police are involved. If I was to call the police on these people, they would come out here and they would say, what? What do you think's happening? You think your neighbours are tampering with your air through their rigged range hoods? Nah, there's something wrong with you. You better come with us. That's what they're trying to do. That's why I can't call the police on these people. But this is why they have gone to such extremes to do this, so that when I do speak up about it to try and protect myself, I will sound like I'm crazy. There is an implant in my body, and I know this because for a while there, they were carrying out abuse before I'd even move of a morning from my sleep. I'd only have to just stir slightly out of my sleep into a waking state, and they would know before I even moved. That's how I know that they're monitoring my vital signs. It tells them when I go from sleeping to waking, and it monitors my heartbeat. I know that. It probably monitors things like my body temperature and things like that as well. But as far as these neighbours go, they intrude on my space so much that they may as well be in my home with me. They zoom in on everything I do. I'm a writer and I can't write because I've got someone looking over my shoulder all the time. The one that lives diagonally to me is a predator. They all are predators the way they stalk me, because they stalk me 24 hours a day. The whole three of them that have joined my home stalk me 24 hours a day. The one that lives diagonally to me, he stalks me when I'm using my bathroom deliberately to let me know that he's watching me in my bathroom. And I can't tell you how terrible that feels to know that, but he'll probably do it more now, because anything I mention on these videos, anything I mention, they do it more. And they do that to try and shut me up and stop me from talking about it. So right now, St George Community Housing is dictating what I breathe, which is cigarette smoke. The one that lives diagonally to me that I just spoke about, he uses his body odour, and it is the most disgusting thing ever. So just bear with me for a minute while I see where I'm up to here, please. Because I've just jumped ahead a bit. So I want to talk more about my family's involvement right now, because for all of this to make sense, you kind of have to know a bit about my past. And I want to talk about the two people that brought me up, who lied to me for my entire life. They're basically just a couple of human traffickers who only ever adopted me from the start because they knew that I stood to get an inheritance one day when I was older. And I mean, I'm 60 years old now, and I've only just found out, I had to work it out for myself, that I was adopted by those people. They never told me. I don't know who my parents are, where I'm from. I don't know any of that. They also psychologically abused me for my entire life, even when I was a small child. I've had 3 long-term relationships in my life, 2 marriages and another long-term relationship, and all of those were set up. They were all a part of the organised crime ring. with the two people that raised me. And that was so that they could always have control over my life. And I didn't know anything about any of that either. These two people and my ex-husbands also brainwashed my children for their whole life since they were small children as well, to turn against me. They all worked together to keep me purposely isolated as a part of this abuse, all while they were doing things to destroy my reputation and to try and destroy my life. So this is why I've had to create this channel and these videos, because they've stolen my life, and I'm not going to let them get away with stealing my life. And I'm just hoping that there's someone out there that's going to see these videos that can help me, stop this landlord's abuse, someone that can help me stop the abuse that I'm going through from the Campbelltown police and the community here. And I have to keep speaking up about it. St George Community Housing have taken away my human rights. They've taken away my right to feel safe. They've taken away my right to privacy. And they've taken away my right to breathe clean air. How many others have St George Community Housing done this to? And how many other people are they going to do it to in the future if something's not done about them? So I'm appealing for help right now to raise public awareness of what I'm going through. I was just put through abuse then when I went out. I was stalked by people who have viewed into my home and people who had viewed these notes because they carried out abuse based on what I've wrote down and things that I've done in my home over the past 24 hours. So that's also not to mention the massive environmental crime that's gone on here in Campbelltown, New South Wales over the past 2.5 to 3 years, caused by the noise and the noise and the pollution abuse that they've been creating by using the extra traffic. And that's been enabled by St George Community Housing as well, and it's still going on. Not as much, but it's still happening. I was still stalked on the road then when I went out by people who were carrying out abuse based on the things that I've done in my home. So if there's anyone out there that can help me raise public awareness of what I'm going through, I'd really appreciate your help. My email will be in the description box of this video. If you can help me in any way to get justice, please contact me. And if you've listened to this video right through, thank you very much. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you on the next one.